pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop.
Welcome back to the Purple Pants Podcast Pitstop coverage of Amazing Race Season 37. Your pit stop duo is here. I am joined by my amazing, my talented, my tech savvy when she needs to be, Miss Brooke Camhi, the winner of Amazing Race Season 29. Miss Brookie Poo, how are you?
So caffeinated. I'm fully caffeinated this morning because we're doing this early. This is not coffee. I don't like coffee. I'm chatty. Good. How are you?
I am good. We had a great episode. Babe, I said it last week. I'm going to say it this week. The season is off to a great start. I'm loving all of the teams. And I love the fact that there are these peaks of old school Amazing Race that are showing up. I feel like 2 times this episode, I was thinking like, oh my God, this reminds me of old school Amazing Race. I haven't seen a lot of Amazing Race, but with the pit stop, I am seeing more and more. We did a summer rewatch of Amazing Race Season 5. Yeah. And I was getting a little bit of that. This episode, also, I do want to talk to the posse with the summer readily approaching. Brooke and I will be doing another summer rewatch. Okay. We do need to figure out what season we will be watching. Brooke has sent me some. I say I want to see season 29. Brooke doesn't want me to see it just yet.
First of all, you've seen it. Second of all, no, we'll leave it to the people. I've suggested 7, suggested 17. I suggested 25. There are some really good ones out there that you don't know how they end. So that might just be something a little bit more fun for you. But if we do 29, I know the winner. I can have them on for the finale. Anyway, point of the story is from this week, I was wrong. I will be the first look. When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. I was wrong about a couple of teams. I have 2 new teams. I have a new dark horse to win. I have so much that happened this episode. I'm going to Brice cuss a couple people out because some people did some stuff you should never do. We'll talk about it in a TED Talk probably. But there is, caffeine. There is so much that happened.
I agree.
And it was so good.
I feel like I was a little hard on a contestant last episode. And this episode, I said I gotta walk it back. I think I was hard on, is it Melinda and Erica? I was a little,
first of all, Erica's my new pick for queen of all things. So
Erica is rising in the charts, but I now have a new team that I am super, super, super rooting for that I feel like.
Is it Alyssa and Josiah? Because they're my dark horse to now win the whole damn thing.
So it's not Alyssa and Josiah, but I do love them. Alyssa went to Temple. Shout out to Alyssa. Sent her. I was on my Brooke Camhi this week. I sent Alyssa a message. So, I said, hey, listen, no, my new team, do you want me to get into that right now?
Sure.
Okay, my new team that I am really looking at, hold on, wait, because I got my notes, because I said I got to, Scott and Lori.
Well, yes, and also no, because yes, fine. I hear you. Do your thing. They're my team. I'm going to give a little bit of spicy Bricey too, because they did something very dumb. However, they nailed this. I want to be mad at them, but I can't be mad at them. But I'm a little mad at them, but not really mad at them because they're great. Sorry, you love them. I love them. How could you not love them?
They are, for me, this is what I look for in winners, right? You know, Brooke has her notes, and you know what? Well, let's get right into it. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Hello. Wait, let me get my thing. Hello. Welcome to the Brice Izyah TED Talk. My TED Talk in Amazing Race, and I said this before and I say it again, when you're on the Amazing Race, I don't want you to be the first team at the mat on the first episode, because then you put a target on your back and then all the other teams are going to be less likely to want to help you. I like a team that starts in the back and moves their way up. And the way that Mark and Lori kind of like move their way up. Scott and Lori. The way that they move their way up, the way that they are just methodical, the way that they just love on each other, the way that Scott was helping other teams, the way that Scott just couldn't help to be a dad because he got 736 kids. And by the end of this season, he might have 738 because I'm going to take a DNA test because Mark and Lori might be my parents.
Scott, you'll get it. But I will say, imagine how much better they would have done if they didn't do something really dumb and end up on the last flight. But we can talk about it. It is said with love. They are top of the list for kicking ass this week, but they would have kicked a little bit more if they followed the teachings of Ms. Erica and Mr. Jeff. So,
and Mr. Jeff, okay, mister Jeff might have got lost in New York, but he ain't get lost on that phone.
He gets lost everywhere, leaves his fanny pack behind. Who cares? Doesn't matter. He doesn't take no for an answer. And that's how you get ahead on The Amazing Race. So, can we get into it?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm thrilled. Thank you, Amazing Race gods, for not starting them off in those stupid, crappy little clumps, for starting them off in the order that they finished. So, check mark for beginning. You look like you're going to explode.
Oh my God, Brooke. Now, mind you, Brooke probably got about 37 notes. I got about a paragraph. One of my paragraphs while I was on the plane says, hold on, wait. Let me pull up my note real quick. Hold on. Okay. Random note. Guy sitting next to me smells. Okay. Sorry to that man that was sitting next to me.
Wait, like what?
On the plane. I don't know.
But like.
He smelled like gym shorts.
Oh God.
And normally I like, and I like to categorize smell. So it's like, I like to, always know what something smells like. But okay, guys.
That's a long flight too. Oh, woof, woof.
Guy sitting next to me smells. Second note, OMG. I love the fact that teams are not starting off in the times that they finished.
We have, because I do this and some people like it, so I'll do it really fast. Jack and Carson, 440. You have Brett and Mark, 453. Ernest and Bubblegum, rest in peace, 506. Bernie and Kerrigan, 510. Alyssa and Josiah, 516. Mike and Nick, 519. Then you have Jasmine and Courtney a minute later. You have Jonathan and Anna. Also, they did a whole lot of things that I love this episode. Shout out to them. Especially, I'm going to give them credit, Jonathan. Scott and Lori at 5:59. Jeff and Pops a minute later. Hannah and Holden 6 minutes later. And Eric and Melinda bringing up the rear at 6:08 p.m. I have a lot to say about Erica. Okay. And it's all good. 1,000 pardons for thinking that you two weren't going to last the night. I was wrong. I will be shocked if you don't go quite deep into this thing. Okay, so you know how everyone gets in the cabs and they talk about their things. Carson and Jack talk about how they're platonic soulmates and they're so heartwarming. Mike is happy with anything but last. Nick says absolutely not. We need to be in the top half. Sorry, that's not going to happen. Bridget is rapping. She's adorable. If you haven't seen it, please go watch our exit interview with Ernest and Bridget, because Ernest starts to rap. Bridget is adorable. We find out the story behind Bubblegum and why that's her nickname, and it's an adorable story. They are so cute. Justice for Ernest and Bridget. Bring them back. They'd be great again. Ernest says he's going to start taking dance lessons, music lessons, drumming lessons, and he's ready to go again. So enjoyed talking with them. Mark says that he has a tendency to get very angry and very frustrated, and Brett grounds him, which is clearly foreshadowing for what is about to come. I do feel very badly for how their episode played out, but this is the game, and that's how things go.
But also,
it's 6 minutes in, and I'm already in love with this episode. Go ahead.
Yeah, I felt Brett and Mark, their pain, but I also felt like sometimes you got to go with your instincts. And I felt like the gays were the first two on the mat last episode, and I felt like the gays should have stuck together. I know Bubblegum and Ernest was there, but if I was Brett and Mark, I would have said, well, let's see what other teams are coming.
Me too. Especially because they knew they were right behind. But they didn't know. We talked about it with Ernest and Bridget. It was like something about who can beat something. Like, it didn't say about drums. So you don't really know. But I will say Carson was smart enough when the next team showed up to say, before you pick, we hear drums. So which one of you is musical? So that Carson and Jack paying attention. I'd like to think they went to the Brooke School of Amazing Race Notes, but that gives me way too much credit. So
I think it was Jack, though, had me cracking up when they were in the drum things. And they was like, I believe this sounds like Mark and Lori's house. So all of them kids, this is what it would sound like. I said, I love them. Hilarious. And I know they ain't lying. With them 8 kids.
I think that's what got Scott. You keep calling him Mark and you're freaking me out. Scott and Lori, that's fine. So I think that's what got Scott and Lori to do so well this episode. I have my theories behind this, but when you have to get 8 kids dressed in the morning really quickly, you get really good at doing certain things, which is why I think they got through the detour so quickly. But we'll get there when we get there. Anyway, we're going to a travel agency. I love a travel agency.
So did I, but I got a gripe.
Mhm.
I got a gripe with production. Got a gripe with production about the agency. Can we get more than one worker? Can we go to an agency that has more than one worker? Okay, listen, it was giving we were at Southwest, and Southwest is known for their free bags, and now all of a sudden they say the bags aren't free, they got to be premium, and now you got to pay for your seats. What's going on, Southwest? You about to F around and find out.
I don't mind it because it allows you to see which teams were forward thinkers and which teams were sheep. And I don't mean it as a bad thing. I just mean like everyone at the same person let me see a little bit more into the mindset of the teams, which I really enjoyed.
Can I ask a winner question? Because
Yes, you
I
can.
was having a debate with myself. Because again, we've seen season 5 this summer. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch our summer rewatch. When they said that the direct flight got there like 6:35, but then there was like a connecting.
Put me bigger.
6:05. Okay, girl, okay, I was on a plane going back and forth because I was like, you know what? Call me crazy, but I might just take that 6:35 flight because I don't even want to risk it.
You make me bigger. Okay.
Make me bigger? What that mean?
Yeah, TED Talk time. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on.
This is, I don't know where Brice just went. Yeah, okay. So this is exactly what I wrote.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Welcome to my TED Talk. It starts quiz. Brice, what do? You've heard me preach on this many times, and you just said I would take the direct flight. Ding, ding, ding. Correct answer. Because when you
I was right.
I would say, and there's a very small exception. So here's the TED Talk. When you can take a direct flight and it gets you in maybe 30 minutes after a connecting flight, 99 times out of 100, you take that direct flight. Connections are dangerous. Things get delayed. And if you're going to go on the Amazing Race, people, the only way you take that connecting flight is 1, if you can get a bunch of teams to take it with you, so you're not alone and you can beat them in a foot race, or 2, even if you miss your connection, you have enough time to take the next one and it still gets you in before that direct flight. That's not the case here. I take a little bit of umbrage with Carson and Jack for going 30 minutes is a long time. No, it's not. You can miss a connecting flight real easily, and only for 30 minutes when you know there are bunching points. I would never, especially if I was first and there wasn't someone sitting right next to me going, we're going to do the exact same thing, have taken that connecting flight. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Hello, my name is Brice. Welcome to my TED Talk. The one thing that I have learned through watching Amazing Race with the winner of Amazing Race season 29 is you don't take connecting flights when you are in, what's the name of that airport, Brooke?
Oh, Frankfurt. Definitely Frankfurt. Everything's delayed through Frankfurt. Note to everybody.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
So, Carson, they're going to Osaka. So they go to this travel agency. Carson and Jack decide, let's take the connecting flight. Now, they are so lucky because Mark and Brett and Bridget and Ernest show up and just go, I'll have what they're having. They don't even go, what's our other option? If they do, they didn't show it. But on the show, they don't even ask for another option. They just say, we'll do what they're doing. So if Carson and Jack had made a bad decision, screws over Mark and Brett, screws over Ernest and Bubblegum, not good for anybody. And this is where Alyssa and Josiah go right to the top for me, because Alyssa has the forethought to go, what's the other option? If we don't, because everyone's going, I'll take what they're having. And she goes, what's the direct flight option? And she says, because I assume she's listened to everything we've ever said.
We went to the same college. Shout out Temple.
Yeah, I see, because she's a student of Temple University, and says, let's do that. I don't want to worry about a connection. And now I think these two are going to win. And if they do, I'm into it. And I was wrong about them because someone, Brice, compared them to what I believe was an engaged team from the previous season who didn't get the best at it. We were just sort of lukewarm on it. I think that's what I was associating them with. No, that's not who they are. These two are smart. They are having fun. They are in love. I love them. They're the orange team. We were unofficially the orange team because Scott and I happened to just both pack orange. So we made ourselves the orange team. I will never say, unless they do something really dumb, another negative thing about these two. Just
and I like Josiah. I mean, mind you, I'm big on her, but I really like Josiah. I like the fact that he's emotional. I like the fact that he's quirky. I like the fact that he likes what he likes. He like wrestling. He's so excited. But yeah, I love them. They're really smart. I think they balance each other out really well. I think also what I loved about this episode, little negative Brice coming out a little bit. I like that the negative partners were raising their heads this episode. And guess what? I kind of was with all of the negative partners this episode because that would have been me. But I loved how their partners were bringing them kind of back to reality a little bit. But Spicy Bricey was with the negative partners, okay?
And negative partners, do you mean Bernie and Kerrigan? Who
Bernie and
fight
Kerrigan,
like a married couple, but I still love them. My favorite, well, I had several favorite lines, but one of my favorite lines this episode, Bernie and Kerrigan are in the airport. They have done something very dumb. That's okay. I'm not be mad. I really like them. And Kerrigan's crying, and she's like, I know you're better than me. And Bernie goes, I'm better than everybody. Like, look, if you're not going to love yourself, who's going to love you? So I loved it.
Very true. I was with Kerrigan though, because I kind of sometimes feel like, even with Brice and Wynn, right? I feel like I will say an idea and Wendell just like, no, we're not doing that. And then like we come back and then we're like, okay, we're going to do it. So I do not agree with their decision not to stay on the phone. However, I do with them agreeing with the decision for them to like, you know what, whatever we're going to do as a team. We're going to think together. And I think that it's like, you know what, let's get these bumps out the way now so that we can be a well-oiled machine. And listen, I like an emotional team. I like whatever. And this is also when I started liking Mark, because while they was arguing, Mark leaned back, put his left ear up. Scott.
I'm just going to write you a post. Scott. It is Scott. Right now you're making me think it's actually Mark. It's Scott and Lori.
Scott and Lori. Sorry, Daddy Scott. You could tell Scott got 800 kids because he heard arguing. First of all, Lori's trying to get some
First of all, she slept through it.
Okay.
She doesn't even wake up from arguing anymore. She's like, is anybody bleeding? Is anybody dying? No, we're good. I'm going to sleep. She slept.
That was Lori's white noise. Okay. Lori was like, ooh, a familiar sound. Let me go to sleep. Scott said, let me go on the list. He said, oh, and mind you, Scott talking to the cameras. Something's going on. Scott, lean back in.
If you have time to be talking to the cameras, then you're doing something wrong. That just side note, but whatever. Okay, so anyway, you have, who do we have? On the first flight, we've got Carson and Jack, Ernest and Bridget, Mark and Brett. Gets in at 6:05, assuming nothing goes wrong. Okay. On the second, and thankfully for them, nothing goes wrong, but something could have, we've already talked about it. Second flight, arriving 30 minutes later. You've got Han and Holden, Mike and Nick, Jonathan and Anna, big props to them this week, Josiah and Alyssa, yes, Courtney and Jasmine, and then the two smarty pantses who decide to go, and in all fairness, all four teams at the airport go to, I think it's Cathay Pacific, and say, are there any more seats on this flight? They are told no, but maybe one person. And Scott and Lori and Bernie and Kerrigan go, okay. And they decide to go just check in and sit. What are you doing? What are you doing? You don't bring me back up.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Okay. To anyone who's going on The Amazing Race, welcome to my TED Talk. Yes. You should never have time. I mean, fine, maybe you should have some time once you get your answer, but you should never have time to just go sit and do nothing. If you are at the air, and I'm a big fan of Bernie and Kerrigan and Scott and Lori, but on this is the big thing. When you have two teams that are standing at, a desk and saying, please help us, please help us, please help us. And they haven't gotten a no from everybody and they're still standing there. Don't walk away. You do not walk away from that desk until every person who has ever worked for that airline says you cannot get on that flight. So they drag you away, kicking and screaming, and tell you if you don't leave, you're going to be ejected from the airport. You do not sit down.
Not you trying to put them on a no-flight list.
Bro. Just wait a minute. If there are teams waiting there trying to get on that flight, what's the harm in waiting there with them? Everybody said it best. We don't have anywhere to be. We got nothing to do. There's no harm in trying. And this is where Erica is racing smarter, not harder.
And Jeff, you gonna stop leaving Jeff out.
You're right. Absolutely. And Jeff, the two of them got on the phone. They called everybody who has ever worked in, where are they? Hong Kong, at the airport, for any airline ever. And they got themselves on that plane. So yes, this is how you do Jeff and Erica.
Thank you. This is where I was wanting to see a little bit of old school Survivor.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
What was the name of season 5? What was the name of our favorite team? Who got everyone to do stuff for them?
Well, there was Charlotte and Myrna.
Listen, this is where I wanted Jeff to do a little Charlotte and Myrna.
My friend.
Okay, I wanted Jeff to say, hey, my dad Pops, he's pregnant. Can we get him on a flight? Okay. Like I wanted them to do whatever they needed to do. But I love the fact that they were able to get on the flights. I was like, oh my God, yes. This is why I love. Hold on.
Scott.
Shut up. I was about to say it. And now I'm about to say Mark. Hello, Amazing Race producers. Welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you so much for getting rid of the private jets. I love airports. Give me more airports. Thank you for coming to my Brice Talk.
It really is my Brice Talk. You know, it's not called TED Talks only when a TED gives the talk, right? Like it's just called.
Here's my question. What does TED look like?
Oh, actually, I'll show you a picture.
Oh, so so we do know what he looks like.
Actually, don't know. No, I don't know. I'm just trying to pretend I'm smart. I'm not smart. Okay. So on the last flight, you have Scott and Lori and Birdie and Kerrigan. Big mistake, but you both redeem yourselves massively. Done with that. By the end of this episode.
A funny thing about what is it? Is it Han and Holden?
Mm-hmm.
Why we see Han with a McDonald's bag? Did you see that when they got off the airport?
He got it. Right?
I mean, yeah, but we don't ever really get to see it. I was like so enamored with his McDonald's bag, and I was trying to gauge by the size of it what he got, and it was giving in my big back days, because I'm a former big back. Even though I'm kind of still a big back right now, it was giving like a quarter pounder with some fries. And I want to assume that his sauce might be, I'm a barbecue. So I'm going to say barbecue and sweet and sour because, I love sweet and sour.
This is so weird because last night we were having a debate here about between Burger King, Wendy's, McDonald's, and then because there was like a Arby's commercial. I never had Arby's, but between like the big three, which has the best burger and which has the best fries?
Well, I mean, let's be clear. Burger King has the best burger because of the flame broil.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong answer. No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. What's your wrong? Go ahead.
That's the end of the podcast. Bye, Brooke. Okay, because we not. Listen, Burger King has the best burger. Like, imagine, here's the thing. It's not the best shape. The Burger King burger is kind of big, but that flame, that charge. Okay. And then there's Wendy's fries when you get some fresh Wendy's fries. But for me, it's a junior bacon cheeseburger at Wendy's and McDonald's. I don't really have a favorite thing at McDonald's, but
okay.
What do you like? Don't say you're a McDonald's girly.
McDonald's fries are the best fries, hands down. There's no question. They're salty only when they're hot. If they're not hot, then there's no point in them. Like they're not worth the calories. But I will say dark horse Wendy's junior cheese. I don't like bacon on my burgers. I like it by myself. But Wendy's junior cheeseburger is, I would say, the best burger. There's something about Burger King burgers that I'm just not into. And Burger King fries are trash. Sorry. Wendy's fries are great. McDonald's fries are just this much better. Also, I'll eat McDonald's on any road trip we go on anytime ever. It's so good.
So do I. And I don't like Arby's.
I've never had it, so I can't even speak to it.
TMI, listen, here at the pit stop, we get, listen, we talk about
this is going to be bathroom TMI, Greg.
Yes, it is. Okay. The one time I ever had Arby's, I was like 13. I was like a church kid. We were always in church. And we had like 2 services. And between services, my mom stopped and got Arby's. And I didn't know what Arby's was. Baby, middle of that second church service, me and all 3 of my brothers was running to the bathroom. Thank you for coming to my TED.
My Brice Talk. Oh my God, dying. Okay, so back to this. Also, why are you buying food in the airport? Eat on the airplane. They have food on airplanes and it's free. So
and I also was thinking when he got that McDonald's, I was like, oh my God, did you spend your money? But
don't spend your money. Okay, so okay, so last flight, those 2 teams, we've already, whatever, unimportant. Okay, so flight 1 gets in and they're off to.
Okay, here's another thing. Bang. These teams, Brooke, were running. Did you see Jonathan? I mean, but they were like, it's like, hey, Jonathan, slow your ass down, okay?
Right.
Like, the way that they were
Keep
running out of that airport, I'm like, y'all gonna hurt yourselves, okay? The gays were out of there, okay? Bubblegum and like, I'm like, slow down.
You know it's a race, right?
I mean, I do know it, but is it a race if you breaking your knee?
Well, I guess that's true. Don't hurt yourself. Okay, but on the first flight, you have Ernest and Bridget who end up getting to this tower, and then they have to go to this Namba hatch, which is where the intersection is. Now, this is the first intersection that Brice has ever seen, so I cannot wait to hear your take on the intersection. But for anyone who doesn't know, an intersection is where you need to team up with a member of a different team for usually a roadblock. So one person from each team gets together and has to do the task together. You cannot leave until you get the okay with this team. And you have to mutually, Phil said this for the first time, you have to mutually agree to who you're going to pair up with, probably because there were 3 teams on the first flight. And if one team was like, come with us, and another team was like, no, come with us, you had to mutually agree. So apparently, the 3 teams on the first flight had an agreement that said the first 2 that show up at this Namba hatch or wherever we're going will pair up together. That's what we have decided. That's what's fair. The end. I don't think that was
because I'm not listening. I'm not with that. Listen, I might agree to say, sure, the first 2 teams that get there. No, I'll make my decision when I'm there and I read the clue.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so it's a roadblock. Who's ready to beat the competition? Now, I spoke to Bridget and Ernest about this, and they read it, and they're like, we thought maybe it was strength, beat, maybe sumo. And I said, girl, my season we had who's ready for some heavy metal? And my partner said it's musical, and I would do the music challenges. And I was like, but we're at a metal shop and nobody pays attention. And I was like, you guys were at like a concert hall. And she's like, yup, cool, you're right, whatever. Race blinders are real. So anyway, Mark and Ernest and Carson and Jack. So wait, Mark and Ernest do it. Mark and Ernest do it, and Carson and Jack now have to wait for the next team. But frankly, Carson and Jack dodged a huge bullet because poor Ernest. The man is great. He's not getting this. Goodbye. He is not getting this. They are having quite the problem. So I would have loved this task. This is very cool. Like, it can keep a beat. This, first of all, thank you, Amazing Race. This roadblock seemed long. It seemed hard. Insert inappropriate joke. Like, it's long. It's hard.
Okay. I would have done that one.
This is a great roadblock. I loved it. Oh my God, I'm into it.
What did the clue say?
Who is ready? Oh, crap. Something about beating something. It's on
Oh my God.
I know. It's on the floor.
Oh gosh. Bro.
Who's ready to beat the competition? I know.
Sign me up.
Okay. Anyway, so again, this happened again. Ernest and Mark go in and go, we'll take you as our coach. What if he doesn't speak English? Ask who speaks English. Who can you have a conversation with? This guy could have just been smiling dopey because he didn't understand what was going on around him. And then you're at a real disadvantage. But anyway, thankfully, it seemed that everybody spoke English. So great roadblock. I love it. Now, at this point, Flight 2 has landed. Jack and Carson are very lucky because the next people to show up are Jonathan and Anna. And apparently, Jonathan has been taking piano lessons since he was a wee tyke. And I automatically feel like these 2 teams are going to be very, very good with this. And one by one, all the teams head there, except Han and Holden, who have let their taxi go prematurely. Everything I say is now inappropriate.
Shout out to Han, because Holden was flying off a little bit. And Han said, hey, stop talking like it hasn't happened. Let's just get in the game. I said, okay, Holden, that's that McDonald's kicking in. Because he was ready. I loved it. But I also was with Holden a little bit because I would have been like complaining as well. Can we talk about Jonathan and these drums? Because you could tell that Jonathan has beat drums before, because it was the way that Jonathan was like, I'm it's the way that Jonathan was just like, he was grooving. Go ahead, sorry. No.
I actually thought Jack, with the way he was so into it, he was reminding me from Animal from the Muppets, where he was just like so animated and just bopping around. I was like the two of them were so in sync and very both really into it and saying the Japanese as the people were doing that. They had tried it a couple of times, so you know that they had heard what was being said, and they were singing along and having fun. The other thing that they did that was great,
they went in first. They went right in. Because, Brooke. First of all, I love when like Brooke comes out of me, because when I was watching it on the airplane, smelling the smelly guy next to me, I love the fact that
I hope that's not what reminded you of Brooke.
Oh no, Brooke, you don't smell. I love the fact that when they came out, how much different it was. It was so much more going on. And I felt like that kind of like helped prepare them for continuing to do the challenge.
Agree. Hold on. I have something happening, but it's not that important. And I'm going to take care of it while I'm doing this with you. Okay. So anyway, at this time, Mark, see, the thing is this, Mark can read music. So I felt for Mark and he did a great thing. He tried to like train Ernest and teach Ernest, but there's only so much you can do. Like when you're in first and this is something you're actually good at, like it's gotta be so just, I don't know how he stayed so calm for so long, probably because Ernest is like really kind and like was trying, and you could tell he was trying and he wasn't getting frustrated except for the one time when he dropped his sticks. But like, it's hard to be mad at somebody who's doing their best. It's just not a skill they possess. I mean, I actually don't think it's that hard. I could very easily be mad at somebody for that, but whatever. But it was hard. It was hard, I think, for him because they're such nice people that it was just like watching your dreams go down the tube, and that's hard. You talk.
Yeah, it was. Just not a challenge that I would be good at because I am not that rhythmly challenged. And so I played the cello for 4 years. And at the end of the 4 years, I still was having issues reading the notes. I would have to spend time when we get new music to like write the actual notes because like I just could not like. So I was feeling with Ernest because I was like, I just would not have gotten this. If I was on Amazing Race and this was our challenge or roadblock that I had to do, we might be the team that's eliminated because
we would not be, because we would have done exactly what. So it was Mark, who I think was just watching his hopes just sort of go down the toilet. But Ernest is so nice, you can't really be mad. Anyway, one of my favorite pairings shows up next because you were saying how this would not be you and we would be there forever. And I'm saying, no, we wouldn't, because we would have done what Mike and Alyssa did, which is chunk this thing out. Because when you need to learn something, whether it's memorizing something or repeating something, you break it into sections, you learn the sections, and that's how you learn things so much faster. Mike knew this, and the two of them flew through. Very, very smart. Mike seems rhythmic. They got it in 3 tries, and they were out of their second, after only Jack and Jonathan, who clearly were both very musical and were very into it and muppeting their way through the whole thing, and were fantastic.
Here was something that I noticed with I loved Alyssa and Josiah and the Fios Bros. I like after they finished it, they seemed compelled to like, you know what, y'all want to do this together. Mind you, the Dragon and Dungeon Bros and Jonathan and Anna, when they finished, they was like, see you. Like, I love how competitive they are. And so the Dragon and Dungeon friends who I love, Carson and Jack. And
Animal.
Anna,
I'm just gonna start calling it Animal.
And Anna and Jonathan. I love their competitiveness like that. And we already know Jonathan does not settle for number 2. So Jonathan is on it. But like, I also love how the intersection is kind of like forming these alliances and like they're making these relationships. Mind you, it might be severing some of these relationships, but I like how it's like, okay, I need to remember that this team has worked together because we might see it more in the future. So I love that it's like bringing us together. And some teams are really leaning into it. Other teams are like, we're still a team of just us two. So I enjoyed that.
I also really liked that, like, what was I just going to say? Oh, that when Courtney and Jasmine get there, they're like, come on, Han and Holden, where are you? Where are you? And then Jeff and Pop show up. Jeff and Courtney looked, maybe it's editing, dangerously close to getting it on the first try. They were fantastic. fantastic. It turns out they had to do it 8 times, which I don't totally understand, but they were out in 4th. And this was like, this I think was Jeff and Pops's day. This was like, let's beat things, let's pound things, let's hammer things. Like, this was the lumberjack day of it all.
I love Jeff. First of all, shout out to people on Twitter that's like, if Brice don't get Jeff and Pops for the Zaddy calendar, I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I like an amazing race team. I like that Jeff and Pops are from the Midwest. I like that they are hard workers. And I just like the fact that obviously Jeff is the more vocal person. Pops doesn't say a lot, but you know, he's there and we love Pops. But I just
there.
How you can just tell Jeff's spirit is just nice. He's just a nice guy. Like, I really like Jeff. And I just like his energy. That's all.
His energy was so good because when they're I think the fact that him and Erica worked together at the airport was really good because Erica was like, we need to get on this. You need to help us. I'm not taking no. Drag me out of here. It's not going to happen. And Jeff is just like, can y'all help me get on the airplane? Like, just nice and kind. And I think together it sort of balanced out to like one perfect ask. I think if it was either one of them there by themselves, maybe Jeff would have been like a little too nice. And if they said no, he would have said okay. And Erica might have been a little too Brooke, where she would have been like, I want to talk to somebody else. You help me. Maybe I can, you know, she was very much, I'm not taking no for an answer. And I was wrong about them too. I think they're great. Okay, so they did great. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I really like Jasmine and Courtney. I feel like they, in my opinion, are having like the perfect arc, right? Last episode, we saw them struggle. And in this episode, they're still not like winning, but they are gaining slowly. And again, like I said, I don't want you to be at the top at the beginning. I want you to kind of like figure it out and make your way as long as you are moving forward. And I really like the way that they are moving and shaking, and they're helping others. Now, mind you, I don't need you to help them too much, but
they're not helping them too much. They're not. It was very ambiguous help, but I liked it.
But still, but that's the type of help
that I
want.
How big is a mushroom, Brice? How big's a mushroom?
Well, you know, I think Jeff said there's all types of mushrooms.
Yeah, like what is that? That is the perfect chef's kiss help, because it's like, make it like a mushroom. What?
But I feel like, first of all,
mushroom? What kind of mushroom?
You know, when we say mushroom, we ain't talk about no portobello mushroom. We talk about the mushrooms that come in the blue containers that's this big. Okay, I knew what she meant.
Fair.
Also, okay, you know what? Okay, I got to do it. I got to do it. Hold on, wait a minute.
I was like, I'm kicked out?
No. Okay, I'm cussing people out with love. Now, we are talking about...
We jumped ahead a little.
We're jumping around. Yeah, at the rice making contest. The what do you call the rice?
Mochi.
Jeffrey 1 and Jeffrey 2. Come here, Jeff. I know you from the Lou. Now, Jeff, big but little Jeff. Y'all watch them make that mochi. Why would you be making your mochi balls the size of the equator? Why was your mochi balls so big? Jeff, come here, okay? Pop. All right.
See, they might just have big mushrooms and
no,
I don't know, Missouri.
Jeff, you saw the instructions. The mochi balls, in my opinion, were sizes of mushrooms. I got it. Thank you, Courtney. Jeff is making mochi balls the size of boulders. Jeff, we are not making the mochi balls the size of your muscles, okay? You saw it, okay? I cussed you out. Love you, Jeff. Hey, Pops.
Okay, so anyway, we're back at the drummy thing, and you have Erica and Melinda. I don't know why I can't get it right. And then Han and Holden show up. Erica now feels like these two teams are very bonded. It took them 7 tries to get out of there in 5th. Wait, but I skipped who got out of there in 3rd. And I'll tell you why. Because they hadn't shown up yet. Scott and Bernie. This is where I can't really be mad that you guys were like super not here at the airport, because don't do that again. I'm going to be very upset. But, because that's what should matter in your life, whether I'm upset. That's so silly. But in the surprise of the day, they nail this. Scott has a great memory. Scott is musical. Scott has 412 kids. And so, know, he's trained kids to do things before. He starts training Bernie immediately, and they get it in 1 try. That is such a rarity on The Amazing Race, to get something in 1 try, and deservedly. they all collectively lose their shit. Like they all just go bananas. And I loved it.
I loved it. And you know, Bernie's ego already went up because you know she already said she better at everything and everybody. And of course, she will go up there and nail it on the first try. But I liked how Kerrigan was right there supporting, cheering, and happy for her. But mind you, I need to have Bernie energy. First of all, my dad's name was Bernie, but I need to have Bernie energy with me everywhere I go. I'm better than everybody and everything. Move out my way.
But you know what I did like about Birdie in this situation? Even though she thinks she's better than everybody and move out of my way. Okay, sure. But she was not unwilling to take help from Scott. She wasn't like, I got this. I know this. I know. She doesn't think she knows everything. She thinks she's good at everything, which is a big difference. And I appreciate that. It is great to think you can do anything because I obviously said I can't 470 million times, but like she will never say I can't. She can say I will and I am. But she was very willing to listen to Scott, who clearly knew how to do something better, and take the notes. And that's how they got it there quickly. And they worked so well together. And so
this is when Scott and Lori's stock is going up. I actually, you know what? Something else is coming to my mind, and I have to. I don't know why.
You just keep kicking me out. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Hello, amazing racers. My name is Brice Izyah. I don't really know that much about reality TV. I was straight out on Survivor Cagayan. When y'all are winning your challenges, can we keep the celebration down just a little bit? That's my personal gripe. When other teams are there, I feel like sometimes it can leave a bad taste in other teams' mind when you're just like, yes. Meanwhile, Ernest is throwing his sticks up, walking around the block, counting to 10. So I'm saying, listen, celebrate, but let's celebrate when we are out of the cathedral. Let's celebrate when we are in the taxi. That's just my TED Talk, because I just feel like if I were a team there and I'm not getting it and you are over there shaking and dancing, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to trip you. Okay. Thank you for
so I had several things to say that. A, trip them. Who cares? You should trip them. But and also B, I get celebrate when you're outside, go bananas outside. I get that. But also, they weren't. If they were the last two groups there, and they celebrated like crazy, I'd be like, dude, like you're gonna make the other team feel it. They were third, and they got it in one try. I don't think this was like. I think it was just more shock and like, oh my God, really one try? And we were on the last flight and we jumped so much. They didn't even, I don't think they were trying to be malicious about it. I think this was just, nobody gets it on one try. Like, oh my God. And it was just like guttural. So I'm not really mad about it, but I do get when some people celebrate unnecessarily, especially when there's only one team behind them and it basically means they're going home. I agree with your talk completely. Here, I think it was just sort of more shock than anything else.
Wasn't really talking about them specifically, so you're right.
Yeah. I'm listening. I'm just turning this off because this is
also at the Mochi Challenge. I know we're jumping around.
Yeah.
But I would be remiss. As I was watching the Mochi Challenge, a thought came into my mind that I thought of a team that would be great for this.
You know who I think would be great for this?
I thought
Anthony and Bailey.
Well, no, I thought Lewis and Michelle. You know, I fell in love with Lewis with the ice, and I thought Lewis
both on the drums and on the. He would have gone full animal on the drums.
Would have went crazy during this challenge. So shout out to our good friends Lewis and Michelle.
Michelle might have lost a finger though, because he would have just been going.
She might have. And Lewis and Michelle, they do an amazing race recap with Michelle's brother. So make sure you check it out. We love Lewis and Michelle. Hey, Lewis.
Croquette checks, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Tune in. Yeah. Check them out. They're amazing.
Lewis, your spot may be in jeopardy because I'm eyeing Jeff and Pops. I'm loving Jeff and Pops, but nobody can say, listen, no, okay. There are 3 defined spots in my heart. One goes to Angie, that will never leave. My second goes to Michelle and Lewis. It will never leave, but I think my heart is opening up for a third, and I think it might be Jeff and Pops, but I don't know. Huh?
It's not me then.
Who?
It's me.
Does your name start with an A and your last name Butler?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Anyway, uncool. Things that are uncool. Okay. So where are we? So finally, whatever. Finally, we have actual Mark, and Ernest, who get it after 17 tries. And they are just so overcome with emotion. And you could see Ernest is like relieved, and Mark is just like, I think we're done here. But then I think he realizes, you could see the moment on his face where he's like, wait, we're not done here because we're still tied with these two and we just have to beat one team. So it's not about being, this is not a day we're going to be first, but we can probably not be last. Why? Because gays know how to drape. And so, that should have been the title of the episode.
I do want to say, I love the fact that Brett and Mark, they got the hell out of there. Okay. Like they were like, it clicked. We got one more team here. We can be done. I will say what I do loved about Ernest and Bubblegum was nothing but supportive and uplifting her dad. And the one thing that I said that I really liked when they were leaving, and Ernest was like, and Bubblegum was like, you didn't give up. And Ernest like, oh, we wasn't going to give up. We would have been here for a month and a day. We weren't going to give up. And I like that type of attitude. So shout out to Ernest for that, because
I actually think Ernest got real lucky, because if this was just a straight roadblock where you weren't teamed up with another team, I don't think there would have been even the possibility of them being close, because he was just there for so long. So anyway, the route information is make your way on foot to the Dantonburi Bridge. And at the bridge, we have the Detour. We have mochi, which is pound rice into balls. And then we have mawashi, which is put on a 19-foot long, this is really long, heavy piece of sumo canvas wrap, and then ultimately push a sumo wrestler out of the ring, which is the highlight of the episode with everybody doing this. Brice, which would you do?
Okay. It depends. I would have done the sumo. However, I think Courtney, Jeff, Melinda, and Erica, I think they all were so smart, because they're realizing they're kind of sort of at the tail ends. And when you are in a group of 3 like this, let's stay with the pact, because if this is something that does take long, at least I can see who I am fighting against. And it was right there. So I was not mad at that, but I absolutely would have done the sumo. For me to wrap me up and you got to bend down like a wedgie, I was in for it. Okay.
I think they made the sumo one sound easier in the description, but I actually think the mochi one ended up being significantly easier, even though it sounded way harder, because who knows how long it takes. Well, I don't know where either one was in relation. Like both were on foot, I think. So I don't think either one was super far, but it sounds like, you know how when you have to, I don't know if you ever had to do this. I don't know why I ever had to do this or where I ever saw this, but I think we went to like Jamestown Colony once, or like Busch Gardens or something in Virginia. And they have these demonstrations of people like churning butter. You know how long it takes to like churn milk into butter or whatever it is? I thought it would take forever to pound the rice into like this mochi, but it seems like it was pretty quick. And this is where my brain goes. I have no idea.
I haven't made mochi, but like first of all, I enjoy sticky rice, a mango sticky rice. But I know the consistency of rice, and I'm thinking like, that doesn't sound that hard. I thought the judges would be a little more meticulous with that, but really the judges were more meticulous with the sumo. But yeah, I would have done sumo just because sumo, I would have been like Josiah, like, I love this.
First of all, he damn near had that's not right. Okay, so anyway, at the sumo side, you have Jack and Carson go. You have Jonathan and Anna there. They go fast. 3 tries, in, out, and first. And since they were first, then nobody knew at that point. The sumo wrestler squats down and he goes, come at me. And the 2 of them are like, okay. They try so hard to push him out of the ring. There were a few times where the sumo wrestler is just laughing and walks back on his own, because there is nobody who's going to move him. Nobody. I think it's Mark who literally jumps into his arms, and he's like,
right.
Mark, tried to tickle him. Maybe I would have tickled him. I don't know. Like, surprise attack. Like, I'm not going to move you. I'm like 100 pounds soaking wet. What am I going to do? It would take 20 of me to move you out of this ring. Anyway, I like how different people try different things. Josiah and Alyssa. So they go with the demo. They did something also very smart. They waited for the demo to start over, and then they said, let's do it with the demo. We're going to get it wrong, but we're going to learn as we go, because we don't want to guess. They saw things got folded a certain way, and all he wants to do is stream in life. He is a wrestler. Alyssa tells the wrestler that Josiah is a wrestler, and he goes, okay. Like, he's like, and so he's living his dream. These 2, I don't know why. Yes, I do, because you compared them to a team from last season. So I've been comparing them to a team from last
Who
season.
did I compare them to?
What, Vinny and Amber?
Well, I mean,
But we didn't know. We didn't know. Right. We had no idea. They are anti Vinny and Amber. Like these two, there's no fighting. There's no bickering. There's all joy. There's all happiness and love. And Vinny and Amber were great to watch. I had no problem with them. But this, Vinny and Amber, they are not. So these two, I would be very pleased if they end up winning this because they are playing smart and they are having fun. So
and listen,
they may win. Mark my words. They may win this whole thing.
Philadelphia Eagles just took home another Super Bowl. I think Alyssa and Josiah, I mean, they are on my must-watch team. I'm rooting for them.
I am too. Like there's very rarely a team here that I wouldn't want to win. And honestly, even the teams that I thought I wouldn't want to win at the beginning, no, they've redeemed themselves. So anyway, Jack and Carson get it in 3 tries. Together, they weigh less than the sumo wrestlers, I don't know, kneecap. And Jack is like mugging for the camera, like shaking his tail feather. Don't I look good? The wrestlers legitimately laughing as they're trying to push him out of the ring. But they get him out of the ring, and they're in 4th. Where? Huh? Oh, did I skip 2nd? Yes, I did. Because these yokels from the back of the pack who were on the last flight because have now made every smart decision and have done everything fantastically. Scott watches it one time. That's all it takes because he's a memorization genius. They get it in 2 tries. They are flying. I have decided that having 8 kids that you need to get dressed in the morning simultaneously and have 47 arms to be able to get these 8 kids ready will make you an expert in wrapping your husband's fat roll in a sumo canvas thingy and getting you out of there very, very quickly. So good on you, Scott and Lori, for being 2nd when you were about as far back as you can go. So good on them. Meanwhile, at the other side, on the mochi side, you have Courtney and Jasmine, who do this very fast, get it on their first check, and then tell everyone you have to make mushroom-sized balls. We've already discussed my mushroom is maybe not the same as your mushroom, but whatever. I do know what you're talking about in the little container.
Just
with the button mushrooms. Yeah. Like
that's the average size. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then you have Melinda and Erica who stay calm. They were gonna do the mawashi and they decided to switch. And I think that was a great decision for them. I mean, Erica's now on my must-watch people because she is playing a smart game.
She is. Still love Melinda. And, Erica is rising in the ranks from last episode. I think I might have misjudged the yellingness, but really it's more motivating. So I do like Melinda.
She was yelling. She was just like, Mom, don't go that way. And then Melinda wasn't listening. She's like, Mom, hello, don't go that way. And she wasn't listening. So she was like, Mom, I would like to see Melinda do a roadblock. I'm excited to see what she can do because I don't think we've seen what Melinda can do yet. And then we have Jeff and Pops. This is their challenge. This is the Lumberjack challenge. They go so quickly. Their balls are too big. Insert Brice joke here. But they get it on the 2nd try, and they are currently in 5, 6, and 7. And then you have Bernie and Kerrigan. Kerrigan was on a Cambodian dance team, and I'm thinking, what the hell does that have to do with the price of bread? But it turns out that they had to rap in a similar sort of sumo rap for her dance team uniform outfit. So shut up, Brooke, because they get it in 4 tries and they're out of there in 8th. And then we have
Kerrigan. Shout out to Kerrigan. Listen, we followed your lead and you were right. So I'm loving the yin and the yang of Bernie and Kerrigan.
This is the time where because earlier in the episode, she's like, look, I say what I want to do. You say no. We go back to what I want to do. This is where Kerrigan said, look, I know how to do this. Follow me. She stood up for herself. They were great. They were in and out. So good job on Kerrigan. I really enjoy them. Even when they're fighting, I enjoy them.
Even though we know Bernie better than everybody. Okay.
Doesn't hurt to have better than everybody on your team. And then we have Mike and Nick, who Nick is touching his brother in parts that he never wanted to ever touch his brother in. Okay. They're actually pretty fun. I really enjoy watching them.
So do I, because they are like, they're the fit bros, but I am, and I mean this with love, I'm enjoying them kind of have a hard way, right? Like, it is fun to watch. I'm sure in the moment it's not fun. They're like, we've been applying for 20 years. It doesn't look as hard, but I love their like brotherly banter back and forth. And Mike, if you need me to rap you, I'll rap you.
My thing is this. I love the fact that they keep being like, this is harder than we thought it was going to be. This is harder than it looks on TV. Because yes, it is. The Amazing Race is harder. No, that's not it. You'll get it. It's fine. Close enough. The Amazing Race is so much harder than it looks on television. And I feel vindicated every time a team goes, well, I don't know what you're doing. Well, that was hard. And this is harder than it looks. And this is more running than we thought. And we didn't think. So thank you, Mike and Nick, for bringing it to the world's attention that, taking one rowing class and climbing one rock wall, not going to prepare you for the Amazing Race. So I like that they're struggling a little, but I like that they're still very much in it because I don't want them to go home ever. So thank you. Okay. For coming to that TED Talk. Okay. So I would have tried to tickle the wrestler. We already talked about that. Not important. That is gone. And now all we have at the back is Mark and Brett, who have caught up to Han and Holden, who are still there, and Ernest and Bridget. So thankfully they don't do this, but Holden goes, should we swap? And I stand up and I go, no, you can't switch. You've been there for too long. You're not going to go do the other detour. What are you doing? And then Han says, no. Holden decides, okay, we're not. Wait, I had that backwards. Han wants to switch. They don't switch. And so, because she's starting to panic, he's like, it's okay, let's keep going. And in 5 tries, it's only 5 tries. I don't know why they were getting so nuts. They get it. But who gets it first? Mark and Brett. Because on their first try, they have, in the comeback of the day, maybe even better than Scott and Lori. No, not better, but equal. And Mark goes, gays know how to drape, and we're here, and we're great, and they're out. So they're in 10th. Han and Holden are in 11th, and Ernest and Bridget in 6 tries. When I was talking to Ernest and Bridget was saying, it was just them and Han and Holden there for a while. And so Han and Holden would go get a shot.
Well, but Brooke,
yeah.
Brooke, if they want to hear that, they need to go listen to your exit interview with them.
There's so much more in the exit interview. So I don't feel like I'm really giving away too much. But yes, it was the 2 teams there for quite some time. Finally, Ernest and Bubblegum get it. They never complain. They never get upset. They're happy to be there. But she's so tiny that she's got like 13 feet of slack behind her because this 19-foot rope, she's so little, is gone around her and she's got too much left. Anyway, long story short, too late. They go to the pit stop at this Tohoto Pagoda, which is beautiful. I need to go to Japan. You've been to Japan, yeah?
I haven't.
Oh, we should go to Japan.
We should, but I want to go to Tokyo too.
Okay. Convinced. Twist my arm. Okay, so thankfully, Jonathan and Anna, because it's their 7th anniversary today too, gets the pit stop first. I did not want to see Jonathan get there second again because I was scared of what would happen.
Oh, God.
So they get there first. And in maybe one of the top 3 prizes I've ever seen given on my season, someone won a trip to the Galapagos Islands, which is amazing. This 10-day hike up Kilimanjaro, which Phil is like, at your pace, don't worry. It's not
right.
Like aggressive. For their anniversary, what a freaking prize. Like we went to Tanzania, we didn't go to Kilimanjaro. That would have been amazing. This is the prize of, I'm going to imagine, other than the million of the season. So then from last to basically first, Scott and Laura get there. This makes me smile. They have made me smile today, even though at the beginning of the episode, I was ready to wring their necks for, don't walk away again, guys. Like, you might not be so lucky next time. Then you have Alyssa and Josiah. He's crying. Like, I was prepared to dislike them. And I love them.
I agree.
They can't go home. It will ruin the season for me. Like, he loves her so much and he's supportive and feels like you did great. He's like, it's all cost of her. And like, that's just, we all need that kind of love in our life.
We do.
Josiah,
you got a brother. Okay, because Jonathan said he ain't got a brother. Okay, Josiah, you got a cousin. I'm in Philly.
I'm going to come to Philly. We should hang out with them. Okay, then you have Carson and Jack.
I mean, we can, because now our Amazing Race family has grown. Can you imagine our happy hour? We had one before, and now it's going to be even more. But okay, where are we at? Really?
Okay, sorry. Carson and Jack are in 4th. Still a great place. Melissa and Erica are shocked to high heaven. They're in 5th, and I love that. They are, because they played smart today. Good job, Erica. Melinda cannot wait to see what you can do. And then all on the mat together, Courtney and Jasmine, Jeff and Pops, Bernie and Kerrigan. And then from last to 9th, Mark and Brett, who I think are just relieved that this
Right.
is done. Like there's not going to be another intersection. Thank God they're finished. They're done with it. Nick and Mike get on the mat and they're like, okay, this is hard. They say it again. Keep preaching it. And then Han and Holden are 11th, and Ernest and Bridget unfortunately go home. But I do love so much the things that Ernest says about his daughter on that mat, about how she's a leader, about how she's an inspiration. He's crying. She's emotional. Like the whole thing was just lovely. You know my feelings on a daddy-daughter team. I am so sad they're gone. It was weeks and weeks too early. But, maybe they get to come back and do it again. I can see that being a dynamic that the race wants to come back.
Maybe. And listen, going out third is not anything bad. It is a badge of honor. And I think that they were great. And I love to see, a Black father and his Black daughter. I love them working on their bonds. I think it was in this episode or early episode where she talks about how them getting to communicate and them getting to know each other and be friends. And he's like, I'm not your friend, I'm your daddy. And then I think he said something so profound, like, I never had this father figure. So I all I know is to be a protector, and so it's I love the fact that he is stepping out and trying. Yes, you the dad, Ernest, but bubblegum still your bubblegum. So I just like the fact that he just even spoke about that. And so I do love their relationship, and I'm sad to see them go, but welcome to the Third Boot Club. It is an illustrious and amazing club to be a part of. And this was, listen, this season is off to, go ahead, what you got?
Yeah, because next time on The Amazing Race.
I don't be watching that because I feel
I do.
It's
not a spoiler. It's the thing. They're staying in Japan, which I don't love, but I do love because the Express Pass is back. That's next week's twist. I'm thrilled. I love an Express Pass. And at a Detour, it looks like tensions are flying. Again, I think a little with Mike and Nick, which I love. And I'm so excited to watch it. These are so much fun. Sorry, you go.
I already know that Jonathan and Anna, or Jonathan is going to go for the Express Pass, and I already know the dungeon boys. I know they're going to go for the Express Pass. I love the competitiveness, so I'm excited. But again, this season of Amazing Race season 37 is off to a great start. We are only 2 episodes in, and we are high on this season. If you want to check out Brooke's exit interview with the third eliminated team, you can watch it right after this video or listen to it anywhere you listen to podcasts at. This has been your pit stop coverage of Amazing Race season 37, episode 2. We'll be back next week with episode 3. Bye.
Bye.
It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants. It's the Purple Pants.